Guys, every single day of the week, I get questions bombarding me saying, Sam, is it hard to get a buy-to-let mortgage? Well, of course, traditionally, lots of people have said it's really easy to get a buy-to-let mortgage. Loads of people go in for buy-to-let mortgages rather than trying to get residential mortgages that, as we know, they're regulated by the FCA. They're very, very difficult to obtain. There's affordability calculators and all that kind of stuff. So lots of people go in for buy-to-let mortgages instead. So surely it can't be that hard, right? Well, if you're interested in this, stick around because we're going to go through this exact topic in this video. Welcome back, thanks for sticking around guys. Now before we dive into buy-to-let mortgages and how hard it is to obtain one, please, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. There's plenty of videos for you to get your teeth into, and please also smash that like button. It really does help me grow the channel. Let's get into it. So as I mentioned, I get a ton of questions asking me about buy-to-let mortgages and how hard they are to obtain. Now at the end of this video, I am going to go through a bit of a checklist of all the things that you really need to hit in order to get that best buy-to-let mortgage. But to kick things off, let's just talk a little bit about the difference between buy-to-let and residential mortgages and some of the criteria that lenders are looking at when determining which of these mortgages is most suitable. Now of course, the property itself is going to be majorly important. Are you going to be renting out that property, in which case you're going to get a buy-to-let mortgage, or are you going to be living in that property, in which case you're going to get a residential mortgage? And depending on what your circumstances are will depend on how lenders will view you, what criteria we then need to run through. But the main difference between the two really is how lenders determine how much you can borrow. On a residential mortgage, this is going to be down to your personal affordability. They're going to look at your income, your expenditure, your surplus income, and whether or not that is enough to pay for your mortgage payments, even if mortgage rates went up a little bit. On the buy-to-let side, it's the rental income that the property generates that is going to determine how much you can borrow. So lenders will use a rental calculator to determine this. So thinking about that, it sounds as though it's potentially easier to get a buy-to-let mortgage than it is to get a residential mortgage, because with a residential mortgage, you have to have a high income in order to achieve the level of loan that you need. Whereas with a buy-to-let, you generally just have to look for a property that has high rental income, right? Well, unfortunately, that isn't the case. And this is where I'm going to go through really the criteria that buy-to-let lenders are looking for, because it's not just about that rental income that the property is going to achieve. There are several other criteria points that I'm going to go through with you now, so get a pen and a pad at the ready. First and foremost, it's not just about the rental income. There is an additional income requirement with most lenders, which is called a minimum income requirement, and this is your personal income. Now, it's not going to be used to determine how much you can borrow. It's just going to be used to determine whether you can actually get a loan in the first place. Some lenders will have a minimum income requirement of say 25, 20, or even £15,000, and if you fall below that minimum requirement, they will not allow you to get a mortgage no matter how good of a landlord you are or what other circumstances you currently have. If you don't meet that requirement, that's it, it's black and white. Even those that don't have the minimum income requirement will still have an income requirement, which means you need to prove some kind of income, and then the lender will determine whether that income is high enough for you to warrant actually getting a buy-to-let mortgage. However, really the point of this video is talking about getting a buy-to-let mortgage as your first mortgage, and this is where things become a little bit more tricky. Residential mortgages are for those that are first-time buyers or those that are already homeowners, whereas really most buy-to-let lenders will only lend to those that have already got a property, who are already homeowners. The vast majority of buy-to-let lenders have a prerequisite within their criteria that stipulates that you have to be a homeowner before you could apply for a buy-to-let mortgage. Now, personally, I think this is crazy, but that's just the way it is. So if you're not a homeowner currently, you are going to have to work with a much smaller pool of lenders, which does obviously make things a little bit more difficult. Some lenders will also have a minimum experience right requirement, which means that you have to have been a landlord for a certain period of time before they'll even consider you for a buy-to-let mortgage as well. I know what you're thinking, how can I get experience without getting a buy-to-let mortgage in the first place? Well, that's the tricky bit. You are shrinking your pool of lenders even further, and it means that we are only working with a small number, and chances are rates might be that little bit higher than your standard high street easy vanilla lenders. If you take it up a notch and you're looking to go for something a little bit more extreme like an HMO, it's practically impossible to get a mortgage as a first time buyer, first time landlord on an HMO, but that's maybe for another video. So there you have it guys. Is it hard to get a buy-to-let mortgage? Well, the answer is yes, actually. It's probably harder than you think. You are going to have to hit some criteria points that lenders are looking for, including income and experience. And of course, you're going to need to have decent credit, as you would do with any mortgage. But there are definitely options out there for you. At Grand Union Finance, we specialize in helping property investors, whether it's your first property or your 100th property and beyond. So if you do want help with your mortgage, just check out the description below. Not only is there a phone number for you to ring, but there is a link to book in a consultation with one of our amazing broker team. Guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you haven't already subscribed, again, please consider doing so. And if you've enjoyed this video, think about sticking around because YouTube is about to recommend you another one that they think you're gonna like. Thanks for watching.